What up, world? It's your boy Jaystar back again with the final look at the championship round here, man, for the playoffs. Two really good games, man. I'm gonna go ahead and get right into this one, man. Looks like we only have for injury reports after everything was said and done for practice this week. We got the two tackles, the guard and the tackle being out. For Burrow again, that they was out last week for the Buffalo game too, and it didn't really, affect the game like everybody thought it would. Just Burrow really just got the ball out and was able to have really good protection. It was actually more less protection for Josh Allen than it was for Joe Burrow. So I don't think that's going to be a problem for Joe Burrow this week, but it is something still to just keep in mind that he still will have those two tackles and guard out this week. Besides that, the only thing I think else that came up questionable is Kelsey, came up with a back, but he was still a full participant at practice, so nothing really much I feel like to worry there. Um, we want to look at some of these IRs though, because we have Fortson who could be activated, come Saturday and everything like that afternoon, as well. I don't know if we might get some more word, about Hardman, probably being able to go and everything come Sunday, or we might have to wait all the way to an hour and a half or so before the game. But and then I would say also the other IR is CEH, could be activated too come Saturday too. So, and besides that, Elijah Mitchell is day to day. Don't really know how that's going to go since it is a groin injury. Could just be a lot of leaning on McCaffrey this week, even though he's coming off of a calf, still injury and everything like that, where he wasn't really out there for first and second downs, and they had Elijah Mitchell instead. But now that this is, the game to go to the Super Bowl, I think he probably will just be out there for every down almost then, if Elijah Mitchell is not able to go. But so besides all those different injuries there, going through all that, as we get into this, as we always do, I kind of already went through on the first look, the points that each of these teams is giving up. So kind of now it's like digging more deeper into maybe like cornerback play and who has good matchups here. So I'm gonna go into things like that. When it comes to cornerback plays, man, I think first off, it looks like I would say, Kansas City actually has some good matchups here. It's just that, they don't have a legit number one receiver anymore since there is no Tyreek Hill. Otherwise, we would probably really be picking Tyreek Hill, being that it's Eli Apple who jumps a lot of double, plays and things like that. He jumps them real quick. We already know that. Like, even though he's talking a lot, he talks a lot, really doesn't really back it up always well. He talks like he's one of the best cornerbacks in the league, you would think, but yeah, a lot of people are just gonna try to take deep shots at him, I'm sure, like they always do. So, the MVSs, the Tony, if Hardman is able to go, you're looking at three receivers right here that run 4.340s. So either one of these three could hit on a deep play, to against him, as well as even on the other side out wide. I come to realize that, is Cam Britt, I believe, and he's a rookie. So we got a rookie out there, sticking, somewhat of veteran receivers here, when it comes to Harmon and MVS. Tony's still young in the game and things like that. But yeah, still another, 4.340, speed and things like that. So could be, man, since Pat is really able to go, he could take advantage of some deep shots, going off to Tony, MVS, Hardman. Like I said, if Hardman ends up being able to go, so it could be a huge game for here. The hardest matchup here to me is Juju. He's going against Hilton, who's really from last year has made a got to be like most improved player defensively to me on the Cincinnati side. Because last season I used to pick on him, like every slot receiver that went against him, was doing really good, went off. I mean, you can just go to the Super Bowl alone, and you had, of course, Cooper Kupp, which, I mean, he's going to get targeted crazy anyway, so, of course, he's going to be able to go off. But, I mean, from the beginning of the game, it was a lot of Odell until he got hurt. And then, of course, eventually was Cooper Kupp, But I always knew the whole time that it was going to be Cooper Kupp because of Hilton was one of them cornerbacks that you just pick on in the slot. But now, like, he's stepped up. He's their best coverage cornerback. So Juju probably has the hardest matchup, even though I would say he has a height advantage there. So if you still want to take a shot, so, maybe because of that. But like I said, hardest matchup. Besides that, these three down here definitely have easier matchups. If you do a double move on like just stop and go type of move. On Eli Apple, he bites a lot. So somebody like an MVS, I can see doing that. Maybe they use Tony for it, but I know Hardman is definitely one of those deep shot players. So I definitely think these three are definitely in play to stack with Pat Mahomes. And we always know, Kelsey is going to be in play. It is a tough matchup. Besides, I would say he has, I think, maybe one safety over there is pretty not as good. Let me see. Nah, I really kind of think Kelsey. Okay, yeah, yeah. Von Bell is not as good, and he has height advantage there. So if he gets Von Bell on him, definitely could do well on him because height advantage. You're talking about 5'11" to 6'5", man. It's just a big height advantage there, and the cover skills is not as good. So definitely Kelsey should be in play because of that. But also the other tight ends here, I would say too, that's going to get some good matchups. Looks like Kittle comes up first with probably one of the worst what I want to say safety matchups there when it comes to coverage with Marcus Epps, and then Gibson on San Francisco side isn't really good at all. So like you got Goddard over there too. So these three are probably in the best position, but of course for value you can just take Hurst if you want to just take him because the value is there. But in order right now, I would think it looks like it should be Kittle, then Goddard, and then Kelsey, really, when it comes to best matchups. But we just know that Kelsey gets way more targets. You're talking about doubling the amount of targets to tripling the amount of targets of these three, probably all three together, getting the amount what Kelsey could possibly get. So, you got to battle with that there, with picking those people. I mean, picking Kelsey or picking one of those other tight ends over him, or even if you want to just go ahead and double tight end this weekend. It's not the same though when it comes to tight ends though as it was just like the last 2 weeks, I would say. I think both weeks, I think winning lineups had double tight end, but the matchups were a lot better for tight ends that week compared to this week. It's a lot tougher. I think it's a lot better for the receivers. Like I was saying, we got what was I going through? We had the whole Kansas City, like I said, for these three down here, have really good matchups. Then, like I said, Juju has a pretty tough matchup. When it comes to AJ and Devontae Smith, pretty good matchup for them against Lenore. And as of lately, Chardarius Ward has been getting lit up too as well. I mean, he got lit up by Metcalf, and we seen Lamb be able to go inside and out, moving around. He usually lines up in the slot, which should have been with like Jimmy Ward, but he was lined up a little bit more outside to get Lenore on him and then to get Chardarius Ward, and he was able to do good. So AJ and Devontae Smith, I feel like, have good shots. They're in a good spot. Just depends on which one is really going to be, or it might be both of them, really. So they're in good spots there. And then I would say, who is it on against Philly? I think it's Debo has a pretty good matchup for him since he lines up mostly in the slot, and Maddox looks like he's healthy enough to play, but he is one of the cornerbacks that has some of the weakest coverage. But they could also, I would say, do like a crisscross route and stuff like that for like a Uke to come across the field, and then send Debo out wide instead, and then a Uke would have that matchup. So I would say a Uke, since he's cheaper and has been more the highest target share receiver on their team, could possibly end up having a better game than Debo. Because of something like that. I've seen them do those type of routes a few times, and throughout the season, where they do, they send a Uke across where Debo was going and things like that, so he can get that matchup instead. And I can see them doing something like that for this championship round. So could be either or, but like I said, I would probably go to a Uke just because he is getting the more target share than Debo. Even though we know Debo gets the runs, but he lately has been, since he's banged up and things like that, hasn't been able to really get out there and break free. Since I would say at least the wild card week, of course, but that was off a catch, wasn't even just a run. So, besides that, let me see, who else am I missing here though? Okay, so we got the Chase and Higgins. Chase and Higgins basically are going against rookies. They do, I would say, have Sneed, which he is like subbed out in and out with another rookie too, but basically all the backfield is mostly all rookies for Kansas City. So I feel like the most mistakes when it comes to defensive mistakes being made, going against these elite receivers right here, they basically have the best matchup then. I know Chase is only on his second year. T. Higgins, is like third, going on to his fourth or something soon and stuff like that. But yeah, so they're going against more veteran elite receivers, and it's rookies. I feel like they're going to take advantage because not only is these two receivers great, and you can't even knock Boyd too, not being a decent receiver too. But his matchups are probably a little bit tougher because that rookie that is going to McDuffie is like one of the best, I would say, after Snead when coverage, but still it's Boyd. I feel like when you got so much maybe double and covering one of these other receivers and you get in one on one with Boyd against a rookie, then he still has a great matchup. So in order to me, I think it's definitely, the Bengals receivers come first. This week, and being that their quarterback is amazing, is going to get the ball to the right receiver, I feel like almost every time. And then of course, Mahomes receivers, but they're just not as elite, I would say, as Jalen Hurts receiver. So I would put Jalen Hurts, him and his receiving core next up after I take Joe Burrow's, receiving core with the matchups. When it comes to the run game, man, I mean, of course McCaffrey is, a good play and everything, but really when it comes to defensive wise, I mean Joe Mixon or even P Ryan right here, like I feel like they have the easier matchup when it comes to defensive trying to stop the run and not being that great at it. Linebackers not being that good. They have, I want to say, at least one person on the defensive line too is a rookie for Kansas City, and I feel like he's in the middle, and that's where they like to run anyways. They usually run straight through the middle, Joe Mixon and P Ryan as well. So I feel like they probably have one of the best matchup when it comes to actually running. McCaffrey, he's gonna do a little run, but it's really the pass catching. I feel like it's where he's gonna be able to make, do his most production at. And it's just about, does he score a touchdown again like he's done? I believe the last 5 games, I believe it is. Got a touchdown, 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 touchdown. Yeah. And here he goes, some more touchdowns. So yeah, so it's almost like the last 8 or so games he's gotten at least a touchdown. It's just that I could also see like how this game was a tough game, and he really wasn't needed for $8,000 for 17-7. I could see possibly getting 19, 17 points in this game too as well. But we also know he could explode too because he can get, I would say, maybe in this game he might have to get 10 plus targets or something like that. Because it's gonna be a tough matchup, I feel like. But after going through all that, I would say also though, Kansas City, we know McKinnon, can definitely catch some passes out the backfield if he's not gonna be in there to block like he was when Pat got hurt last week. I don't really think Pacheco as much, but McKinnon, I will keep my eye on CEH if he's gonna be playing at all. Because we know they used to use him a little bit on goal line rush attempts and things like that, so he could be in play for that. But definitely, like I said, P Ryan and Joe Mixon probably had the easiest matchup to me. So for fantasy points wise, I feel like they're probably the best ones. And then I'm like McCaffrey is next for me. Joe Mixon, McCaffrey, and then maybe one of these plays for Kansas City could be coming up. But because Sanders is definitely also in a tough spot. But they really can't stop the run here because it hurts, running the ball most of the time. So it's gonna be hard to stop the RPO, action that they run over there, option over there that they run. But I definitely feel like these two is at the top for a reason because they really do have the better matchup, or at least the volume is here. So after going through all that, man, just really thinking this out, trying to build this lineup, man, I'm thinking, like I said, since my first play, like I try to say for best matchup, was Joe Burrow. I'm picking Joe Burrow, man. Picking Joe Burrow here, man. And I have to go ahead, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and double stack this, just because I really feel that it's gonna be very hard for rookies to stop these two weapons right here, man. Chase is always, the whole offense runs through him. We know he's gonna get the targets as we've seen. 8, 12, 13, 12, 13. The whole offense runs through him. And my thing is, if you can't stop Chase, you're not really stopping this offense, period. So if you're not stopping Chase, then I'm just looking at, yes, I could have took, also Boyd, which I said, though, his matchup was a little bit tougher. But I do think if Chase is going off and he's going off from out wide, then Higgins has got the same opportunity to do the same thing. And the thing about Higgins is usually they look for him for like deeper shot plays and stuff like that, So I think he can get there to a 100-yard game at least. Maybe if he doesn't even get a touchdown, I feel like he get a 100-yard game, possibly 7 or 8 catches, something like that. And that might be good enough, even without the touchdown. But I just feel like this double stack here is the way to go because they just have the easiest matchup. And I mean, easiest matchup with talent, and we know the fantasy points could come from that. And then after that, it's like I'm looking at, since I did say, looks like McCaffrey might not even have a backup. And just the volume alone, just gonna toss in McCaffrey then because of that. But like I did say also though, when it comes to the running backs, I did feel Joe Mixon or P Ryan. And since, I think I'm gonna need some savings here, I'm gonna go ahead and take the backup running back over here. I think this whole matchup here, I know this is like a full stack over here, all Cincinnati so far, but I do really feel good about that because Kansas City, I think, just gonna have a tough time stopping Joe Burrow unless they get to him because of the line breaks down or something like that. Besides that, if he has any time though, and if he gets the time that I seen him have and just makes the decisions real quick, the way he did against Buffalo's defense, then I definitely seeing all this hidden basically. And then let's see. So for the Philly game, real quick, let's see. What do I want from the Philly game? I'm gonna just ride the hot hand so far with Devontae Smith here. Um, Knowing that he's going to be the one that moves in or out. I feel like he's been moving in or out a little bit more than AJ Brown, even though AJ used to be just a slot receiver. And I do feel like a big game is coming for AJ, and it could be this game. But I'm gonna go ahead and go with the hot hand because he's been having a hot hand. Also, the targets has just been crazy high lately. And the fact that since he maneuvers around in and out, he's always gonna probably have I would want to say like the better coverage on, like he was going to have a better matchup, period, throughout the whole game because of that. And I just like the way he's been playing right now. Like I said, 10 targets, 8 targets, 13, 12, 100 yards for the last like 5 games. You got 3 games. I think this possibly could be a game where he gets 100 yards. We just saw CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb is kind of more receiver like Devontae Smith. And I think their focus might be on to kind of try to hold off AJ Brown if they can. Might be a little bit more double coverage over there to him, and might be one-on-one more matchups for Devontae Smith. So that's why I'm gonna just go with Devontae Smith here. I also feel that when it comes to this tight end pick, Kelsey, yeah, like I said, volume, everything, it sounds good. He does have one of the hardest matchups or harder matchups, I would say, than most of these other tight ends do. Besides, I would say maybe Hurst, but Kittle and Goddard is, probably the easier matchup plays. The only thing is, it's scary with Kittle because you don't know if he's going to block most of the game or is he going to run some routes. So I'm going to have to go with Goddard here. Goddard has a mid-pack defense against him. We already saw what Schultz was able to do. I feel like Noah Fant could have did even better against San Francisco the first game, but they just don't target enough over there to their tight end. But tight ends have been able to do pretty good work here, and I feel like for 4,100, if I can get 15 points here for Goddard, then I got a good game there. Like I got a good freaking lineup, hit play right there for this stacks. So I got Devontae Smith, Goddard, and I'm trying to run back somebody here. I think I'm gonna go ahead and move. I'm gonna move Chase there because I'm gonna put him in the flex here. There we go. And I'm gonna go with Bengals defense. And it leaves him with 4,500. And I'm gonna go ahead and take a Ayuk as my run back. Also to go with McCaffrey. I just feel like in that game, period, because both of these teams like play a 4-3 style defense, which in a 4-3 style defense, you want to be able to set up the run, to be able to set up the play action plays. And basically here I'm hitting on all that is what I think, because if I'm taking McCaffrey, it's like they're setting up some of the run, they're hitting some of the big plays, to their receivers off of that. Ayuk has been the target share owner of the big plays, and especially just I would say receiver options and catching, he's still the highest target share for their whole team, even over McCaffrey. So I just want to hit that 1-2 punch basically right there. Got Joe Burrow thinking that Samaje Perine, is able to set up the run there. And since they are able to set up the run, they have 2 elite receivers that I feel that can hit, off of the play action. And so I'm taking both of them to go with that with Joe Burrow here. And then in the Philly game, I feel like Hurts is probably going to set up the run. If not, he has 3 other backs, to also go to a little bit. But with Hurts setting up the run there, he should be able to hit his receiving options here with a Smith and Goddard. The least, expected team for me to be setting up a run is Kansas City. It's not that I don't like Pat Mahomes still, because I know they're just a passing team anyways, and he's been succeeding all season long, without even having a run game. So, but I just want to kind of hit on those teams and be able to play this out kind of smart, really smart here. But this is what I got, man, to win it all, man. Hopefully putting this in for the million and see if I can win this, man. Good luck to y'all for this weekend. It's your boy Jaystar, and I'm out. Peace.